Chapter 10. 14. About 20 minutes later, both men had stuffed themselves full and were about to pay and leave. Just then, 4 other men rushed into the diner all of a sudden. They looked all around the room at once and spotted Wilbur and Ryder right away. One of the men shouted, "You motherfucker, let's see just how you're going to get out of this one. Get him!" Right after he shouted, over 20 men charged in. All of them were holding sticks and batons surrounding Wilbur and Ryder. Wilbur looked up to see that the 4 men who had come in first were the son of the person in charge of Nishtown Yoan Dami, as well as Kyle Zinn, Hasten Zeller, and LaShawn Saffer, the 4 Nishtown princes. The 4 men made their way over with twisted smiles on their faces. Most of the other customers in the diner knew better than to stay, fleeing the scene at once. The only tables left merely glanced over and buried their heads in their food without a second glance. Just then, Tyler came over with a look of shocked joy on his face as he bowed and smiled. "Mr. Dami, Mr. Zinn, Mr. Zeller, Mr. Saffer, what are the 4 of you doing here?" The 4 men turned around and Yoan asked coldly, "What are you doing here?" "This guy here just insulted and even attacked me, Mr. Dami. I was so angry I was about to get my boys over here to take care of them when you all showed up." Tyler pointed at Ryder indignantly. Yoan smirked. "Well, I have got a show for you. I'm gonna get these bastards back good for you." "That's wonderful. I'm sure there's nothing you can't do once you put your mind to it, Mr. Dami. The nerve of these two to mess with you, they must have a death wish," Tyler said, desperately trying to butter him up. Upon speaking, Tyler turned back to Wilbur and Ryder. "I can't believe you had the nerve to piss off the 4 princes of Nishtown. You're dead for sure. Hear that?" Wilbur glanced at a smug-looking Tyler, then at Yoan and the rest. "What? Was the beating from earlier today not enough?" "You motherfucker, I'll make sure you don't leave this place alive even if it's the death of me," Yoan fumed. Kyle said coldly as well, "You think you're such a good fighter, don't you? I'd like to see just how many men you can take on today." "Cut the crap. Let's beat 'em up before anything," shouted Hasent. Laswan said, "You can forget about getting out of Nishtown alive after getting on our bad side, got it?" Wilbur smiled. "I'd advise you against doing anything stupid and causing your parents trouble. It really would not end well for you." "Who do you think you are to threaten me like that?" Yoan sneered coldly. Wilbur wiped his mouth with a napkin. "It's bad enough that all you Nepo babies are doing is causing trouble for your parents, but now you're taking advantage of the weak, too. Something's going to get you one day, and I'll teach you a lesson today as well that there happen to be people in this world you can't afford to mess with, too." Yoan burst out laughing at once, looking at Wilbur mockingly. "Perhaps, but you certainly don't have the right to be saying something like that. Break his legs. Yes, break all his limbs," Tyler shouted from the side as well, nothing but smug. In his mind, no one could measure up to the 4 Nishtown princes. This guy was out of his mind saying something so cocky in front of them. The group of hunky blokes drew their fighting stances as well, wielding their sticks and batons. Just then, Ryder got to his feet. He scanned the group of men, his gaze positively icy. A strange fear washed over all those men all at once, making them freeze in place, not daring to attack. An ambiance-level cultivator exposing regular mortals to the slightest hint of their spirit pressure was enough to make them quake in terror. Just then, Wilbur's phone rang. He glanced at it and picked it up with a frown. "Hello? Who is this?" asked Wilbur. Tony's voice came ringing down the line. "Mr. Penn, have you left Nishtown yet? Please don't be in such a hurry to go. I've prepared some local delicacies for you to bring back to Mr. Grayson. I attended a talk of his when he was still on duty and consider myself somewhat of a student of his. Are you all right with that?" Wilbur looked up at Yoan and the rest, giving it some thought. "Sure, but could you get the person in charge of Nishtown to come with you as well?" Could I ask why?" "His sons ambushed me with a group of men and they're about to attack me. Get his old man here to clean up after his mess, won't you?" Wilbur said calmly.